Welcome to the Entrepreneur Spotlight Show, where visionaries, leaders, and game changers share the ideas shaping the future of business.
Hello, everybody. Andy Jacob here with the Entrepreneur Spotlight Show. And I have a great show today. You know, we've had this guest on before because he stays abreast of everything that's happening in communication technology. And we wanted to bring him back to talk about AI. And of course, his name is Ray Pasquale. We're going to talk about something really interesting today called Engage IQ. It's using AI to really monitor your business's phone calls to help your business get better and help the customer engagement and customer experience become much better. So, Ray, welcome back to the Entrepreneur Spotlight Show.
I'm happy to be here again, Andy. It's always fun.
That's great, Ray. And of course, it's great to have you back. Now, let's start by pulling the lens back to what I call 30,000 feet, because obviously you have an understanding of what's going to happen with the future of AI. And let's talk about how the future of AI is changing the way your company is giving an opportunity to your clients like never before through Engage IQ.
All right. So I started the company, as you know, about 13, 14 years ago to sort of perfect the voice over IP marketplace. So the idea was not to stop there, however. It was to find ways to make voice go to work for businesses. I wasn't quite sure how to do that back then, but the very first thing we had to do was to make sure that voice over the internet would work without all the hiccups and the choppiness and the certainly increasing the reliability. And once we did that, then we started to focus on ways to make it very valuable. Excuse me, the world knows all about you, Andy, from your fingertips, right? Your browsing history, your purchasing habits, all the things that combine to make you an online presence. We all know you. What we don't know is this. Our conversations have gone sort of I use the word data mine or phrase data mine, but not in a pejorative sense, but have gone missing. And so we lose that value of the human conversation. So we perfect voice, and then we start building analytics for businesses to get sort of a instrument, their cockpit, if you will. So they can see how high they're flying, how the speed, and all those kinds of good things. And of course, that all helped to serve to increase their revenues, make their current workers more productive, and so on. And then, of course, here comes the AI revolution. About 7 or 8 years ago, I announced in an Orlando conference that we were going to focus on something called sentiment analysis. This is way before OpenAI, ChatGPT, and all this sort of thing. So we were really, really early. And unfortunately, we had to pull back from the market because it was way too many false positives. And so when we backed away from that, we certainly didn't forget AI, but it had to mature. It's had to go through a maturation process. And lo and behold, in 2020 or thereabouts, Sam Altman and OpenAI become a thing. First, ChatGPT gets released, and the rest is history, almost.
Yes.
Not quite done with history yet. But so now we're using tech AI to help enrich the conversation and producing that value, that information to owner-operators of various businesses, whether they're restaurants, dental practices, auto dealerships, and the like. And we do that with a product initially called Engage IQ, which really is an umbrella term for all of our AI products that we're building in the company. So Engage IQ currently is being deployed across the country. It's a controlled rollout. It does all kinds of things, discovers what you've been missing. So it'll go through all your conversations, your voice recordings, for example, and produce a pie chart with insights that you haven't seen before. And then you can hone in on those insights. We actually make recommendations on how to fix things as we find them as well. Not that you would need them, but just in case, we do all those things. The other kind of things that we're working on currently are what we call curated language models. You might have heard me talk about small language models. Today, you've got large language models, right? You're a dentist, you don't need to know about the fall of the Roman Empire. And to go through a large language model, you got to throw a lot of stuff away to get to the stuff that you care about. And that's what causes, that costs a lot of money, a lot of compute cycles to throw stuff away. You're going to stand up nuclear power plants to do that, right? I mean, so the move, I think right now, I believe, and certainly in companies like mine, where we're focused on various market verticals, we have insights into these verticals that really nobody else has. And so by creating the opportunity for us to create a curated language model that is built for dentists, built for pizza shop operators, built for auto dealerships, and so on, I think it's going to be a really big deal.
That's great. Now, Ray, let's break it down. Let's say I have 10 offices. I have 10 dental offices, and I need to learn a lot more about my business. I want to use Engage IQ. I want to use AI. Let's talk about what the owner of these dental offices can learn and what they can do to make more money, and more importantly, what they can do to understand their customers better.
Well, it's a good question. You might think of a dental operator that owns 4 or 5 practices, let's say, as you suggest. Each one of those practices might have a different discipline. For example, one might be endodontics, one might be general dentistry, one might be, I don't know, something else. And so by going through the recorded calls in each of those practices, a dentist might be looking for how many people have called to ask for a root canal or a cleaning, and maybe redirect them. They called the wrong practice. They were able to then discern that and then contact that person and direct them to the right practice for that procedure. These are things that have previously gone relatively unknown. We automate that. It's not to suggest that, somebody in the practice couldn't listen to all these recordings every day. But as you've been to a dentist before, they're really busy. And so we automate that process for the dental practices and produce the information that they are looking for. In some cases, what they're not looking for. But they're able to prompt Engage IQ as well, saying, in this practice, I want to know how many people called today for cleanings. In this practice, I want to know how many people called today for root canals, and so on. So we give you the opportunity through a portal interface, really easy to use. You can create your own prompts. So you're prompting the AI to tell you things that you're interested in. You can also not prompt it and say, I don't know what's going on in my practice. Please tell me everything you see. Right?
Yeah.
So, you can think of lots of different use cases for this. They're infinite, really. And it all depends on the operator, who's running the business, what they're interested in finding. And then, of course, over time, this will just keep running in the background and producing report after report. You can keep scripting it and changing it. Basically, it will. And it gets better and better and better. The accuracy rate, the hallucination rates of Engage IQ that, because of the engineering work that we do here, is almost zero. Not quite zero, in that it's not 100% false positives either. That's the problem with AI. AI is really an expert pattern guesser or pattern matcher, like autocorrect.
Yeah.
There's no real inference. There is inference, but it can't read body language. It doesn't have nuance. It doesn't have emotion. But it does a good job at putting together sentences that most people expect to see. And so by prompting and training these models, you make them smarter, or you make them seem smarter, I should say. It gets really kind of complicated, actually. But at Unified Office, we have some pretty bright people who've been around this industry for a while. One of the fellows worked at Amazon on their AI projects. Tom, my CTO, has got a rich history in machine learning. I've got a rich history in just about everything, including machine learning, but not quite as in-depth as Tom and Mike. But we're a very unique company in that sense, and we build incredibly important products for our customers.
Yeah.
And AI the hype cycle is incredibly, the signal to noise ratio right now in the AI market, the noise is big, real big, lots of noise. The signal, it's there, and I think it's going to get stronger over time. But the industry is going to go through a period of uncertainty, I think, in the next 12 to 18 months. It's not going away, but I think the hype, it's like the S curve, it typically goes like this, and then the trough of disillusionment, and then it typically follows another upward slope of productivity. Now we know what we really want it to do for us. Right now, we're exploring.
Yeah, I love
Right?
it. Of course, we go back to the dental office. I have 7 or 10 different offices. I take the recordings, I put them into the system, and I'm going to learn things that I don't know. Like there's questions being asked, and maybe there's a certain question about a new dental application that's being asked a lot of times to the receptionist, and the receptionist says, "Oh, no, we don't offer that." And you're the owner, you don't know that so many people are asking for that application, and you throw it through AI, and AI comes back and says, "Andy, you should offer this application because you have a lot of people asking for this application." So it's going to help those dental owners make a lot more money, right?
Well, yeah, that too. Making money is obviously an outcropping of this, but more importantly, it's the customer, the acquisition of your customer, and understanding your customer, which also increases the stickiness of your customer to your practice. Yeah, I mean, we've got customers using it today to score their customer service reps, for example. Are they actually offering 2 liters of Coke with every small pizza purchase at one of my restaurants, and so on? And it's a very positive thing. It's not used negatively at all. It means they actually hold these contests and make awards to the CSRs that are offering Andy, the special of the day and representing the brand properly. So with Engage IQ, the sky's the limit. You can do just about anything you want with this thing. But we make it really simple for you to use. And we go through a lot of complex engineering to do that.
That's great, Ray. Now let's talk about CSRs, customer service representatives. Do you envision a day where we have fully automated CSRs? In other words, there's no human beings involved in the picture, or is that day not going to happen, or is it a long way off?
I don't. I'm going to go on the limb and say it don't look. Is it going to replace certain functions? Maybe. Sure, it can. But I'd rather look at it this way. I think what we're doing, in particular, Unified Office, is we're using AI to augment the human. I don't think you'll ever get to a place where you're going to reliably, replace a human being. I just don't see that future. I mean, look, reading an FAQ, hiring a human to read one where you can actually, plumb that into an AI to read it, a bot, sure, that makes sense. Creating microservices. As a software engineer, for example, I have repetitive tasks that I do every time I write software. I might take that repetition and devote that to an AI agent. Go ahead and create the outline, I'll fill in the middle, right? So it makes me more productive. I don't think it's a replacement for thought at all. And it doesn't replace originality or any of those kinds of things. It just is an augmentation of the human experience. That is my belief. That's what we operate on as a company. I could be wrong, but I don't think it's going to have the kind of effect that most people are afraid of, which is replacing people everywhere.
Yeah.
It's been tried. I mean, I've seen it a couple of cases on LinkedIn where companies have tried to replace frontline workers, and then with agents, and then the AI agents, look, they say silly things. They hallucinate. They're not perfect. And then they scurry to hire the people back. So it's a tool.
Let's talk about Engage IQ. Is Engage IQ learning as it goes? Is it programmed as an AI system to continually learn from the recordings that are placed in? How does all that work?
Well, the language models in general that we use, we're not beholden to any particular LLM out there. Facebook or Meta has one. Google has their own. Certainly Sam Altman at OpenAI, they have their own. Mistral in France has their own. There's a bunch of them. And so we use various LLMs for different reasons. One LLM might be better at understanding the restaurant industry, or might be better in terms of computational load, and so on. And so, yeah, the models continually, once an LLM gets built and trained, it's typically that the only time it gets retrained is when somebody retrains it manually. It's also the case where, LLMs are starting to ingest other LLMs. And yeah, as you and I are prompting ChatGPT, for example, that's also a form of training. So if you've got 3,000 people all asking the same thing and getting the result back, and they all say, yep, they score that result. So if you ever use ChatGPT to do something, there'll be a thumbs up or a thumbs down at the bottom. When you hit that thumbs up, you are, in fact, kind of retraining the model, helping it get smarter, or it's going to be biased towards the 3,000 people that thumbed up it.
Yeah.
All these models are biased because they're created by humans, right?
Yeah.
And so we're always biased. I like the color blue. You might like the color purple. I'm biased towards that. You're biased towards purple. So every model is going to have bias built into it. What kind of bias is going to depend on the people who trained it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yeah, it really does. It's a good point. Now, this AI program, this Engage IQ, whether it's today or down the road, or I own a company and I have people on the phone. And is there any type of AI, or maybe it's already there, where the AI is, I guess, listening to the call and then somehow on a computer screen giving some feedback, saying, "Hey, you
it's a good
missed
point.
this, or you should say this, or you missed a few points."
Yeah, I wanted to get there. It's that's the holy. It's part of the holy grail. It's really difficult to do this in real time. We are getting close. To do this in real time, it requires an awful lot of processor, right? GPUs. These GPUs were built for graphics back in the days, the early days of gaming. That's where NVIDIA cut their teeth. But it just so happens during these computational analysis for AI, it is three-dimensional mathematics, if you will. So that requires, these vector engines that NVIDIA builds and other manufacturers. But yeah, I mean, we're pretty close to being able to listen to a conversation right now and break into part of it and coach the CSR, saying, hey, make sure you offer Andy that extra bag of chips with today's pizza order. Or I can sense that Andy's feeling a little annoyed. Maybe you should bring it down a notch. Tell him a lighthearted joke or whatever. And so that kind of training is something we are definitely working towards. We're very close to being there, but again, it's the pricing of this stuff is quite complicated, very expensive, and so we're having to build our own kind of data centers, if you will, to help bring down those costs.
That's great, Ray. Who's going to win the race? Who's going to win the AI race? Everybody's asking. You have an insight because you're using so many different AIs for so many different applications at the business. Is there going to be a single winner? Is there going to be a multitude of winners or an umbrella of winners? And of course, what about the customers? Are they going to win as well?
I don't think there's going to be a single winner. I think it's going to win and are going to be the people who are trained to use AI to help them do their jobs. The people today that are building these data centers and the CPUs like NVIDIA and others, sure. I mean, like anything else, commoditization leaks into those markets pretty rapidly. They'll win initially, but over time, just like in the fiber optic deployment cycle in the early 2000s, all these fiber optic manufacturers were just booming. All these IPOs were happening. And then all of a sudden, all the fiber got laid, but it was all dark.
Wow.
And the winners were the people that ended up lighting up that fiber and making use of it, right? So I think the same is going to be true here. It's going to be people, dentists, auto dealerships, the users of AI are going to be winners. And again, you just have to learn to work beside it. And the knowledge workers of today will just morph into how to train an AI, how to talk to it to get the information that you need out of it. And I think companies like mine ultimately will be very successful in helping that shift.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And of course, the people, all of us are going to benefit from AI. So I love that way that you look at it. Now, let's say we have a young person watching the show, and we have a lot of young people watching the show, and they're thinking about AI. They're thinking about, what should I do to get prepared for AI, or what can I do now to prepare my life or my future entrepreneurial aspirations using AI? Can you give some advice to those people who want to understand how to prepare themselves with AI?
I don't know what kind of advice I would give other than just stay curious. Kind of roll with this, learn as much as you can about it. It really isn't, some of it's kind of magic, right? But at the end of the day, um, it is a expert pattern matcher. The chat GBT, you know, pre-trained transformer for your fancy words. There's a lot of tutorials on the internet. You want to learn about machine learning, neural networks, how they're built, how the words get broken into syllables and assigned token values and all that kind of stuff. But I think it's really ultimately how you're able to prompt it to get what you're looking for out of it. Those kind of, everybody will have to do that eventually, and it's not that hard. The hard stuff is building the actual neural network engines and the computational analysis that is required to produce something. But I don't know, just stay curious, stay hungry, learn.
Okay, that's great. Great advice. For the people watching the show, rewind what Ray just said. That's very valuable. Now, this has been a great interview. I'm going to bring you back. We're going to call it the Hour of AI with Ray because I love what's happening. You're on top of it. You know what's going on. You have a great insight. Plus, you're not providing pie in the sky thought process with regard to AI. You're right in the pocket. That's why I love having you on the show so much, Ray. So I want to thank you so much again for coming on the Entrepreneur Spotlight Show. This has been fantastic.
Thanks a lot, Andy. It'd be a lot of fun to catch up with you again.